So a lot of people have been complaining that Thief is unplayable and it does no damage and it has no sustain and it has no role other than being a decap bot in this current meta after the balance patch. And I've told a lot of people at the same time, Thief is just a high skill class. You just need to rotate properly. And then I've been, replied to with, well, all these other classes don't need to know how to rotate. Why should my class be that much more skill intensive? Well, the thing is, your class actually isn't that skill intensive. I'm sorry, but there is this thief complex where every thief in the game thinks they're better than everyone else. Yeah, you need to get over that. So one thing that I've noticed with Thieves over many years is that they're basically sheep as well. So whenever Syndroner plays a new build, that is the build that every Thief plays. So when Syndroner is playing basically this build that I'm playing right here, the Dash DP with Shadow Arts, he's probably not playing Cloaked in Shadow, but basically this build, they all play this. And currently, this is one of the highest skill builds in the game because it requires you to rotate and be in the exact place at the exact time to get your kill. And for a lot of people, they need a little bit more reward for a little bit less thinking. So maybe this isn't the build for you. So maybe think about trying out another build, right? So here I'm going to show you guys 4 builds that I think are really good in the meta for Thieves, and there's a varying skill requirement for all those builds. So obviously this is the first build that I'm showing you guys. It's the Dash DP with Berserker. This one's very high rotational oriented, and the next build I'll show you is a little bit more forgiving. You can stay in fights longer and you can team fight, which is basically what a lot of Thieves think you can't do, is team fight on Thieves. But actually, Sword Dagger Daredevil is a team fighting Thief build. Back in the early POF metas, Acro SD Thief was meta because it was the team fight Thief build. So if you see here, I'm playing Marauder with Eagle Runes, and you take Improvisation with Deadly Arts, and all you do is just rip boons off of tanky classes. Sword Dagger is really good at killing tanky classes. So when you complain about Thief not doing that much damage, it's because the other classes are overtuned or they're too tanky. So when the meta is too tanky for you, you just go Sword Dagger, because Sword Dagger has better sustained damage than DP, so it's really good at killing Necros, NGs, Guardians, and yeah, it's just really good. And it's also really good versus killing Revs because Improvisation. So yeah, the thing with the meta, or the new balance philosophy, is that a lot of skills got their cooldowns increased. But with Improv, these long cooldowns are less because you get one of your randomly recharged skills back. So yeah, it's just, Thief is just really strong because of Improvisation right now. And the only build that I'll be showing you today that doesn't have Improv is the one that I'm playing, right? The high skill cap build. So Improvisation is actually an insane trait. And if you're thinking that Thief is very weak right now, you're probably not playing Improvisation. So yeah, there's the SD Thief build. And next I'll be showing you probably the lowest skill requiring build for Thief right now. This is a Condi Pistol Dagger, and this is also running Improvisation. So I'll explain this build a little bit more than the other two because those are explained already quite a bit on my channel. But this build is basically just Pistol Dagger with Carrion Adventure and Agony and Compounding. It's just a burst Condi build, and you have Deadly Ambition, no potent poison because yeah, the damage increase is pretty good, but the duration increase isn't really that good, and the additional poison stacks really only affects your steel and this trait, which doesn't occur that often, right? But you do want the condition damage here, so this is really good. You have 1600 condition damage, so you have really high burst damage on this build, And you just have a lot of cover condies in your burst. So you get Vallun when you steal, you get Confusion when you steal, and then you put on Poison very often, you'll put Bleeding very often, and then you'll get Torment as well from pressing your 3. So you have a lot of cover condies. So what a lot of people do is they just die to your burst because they can't react fast enough. And you have a lot of Boon Rip still, even though you don't take Bountiful Theft. I'm taking 2 tricks with Trickster. So I have a lot of Condi Cleanse with Shadow Arts and Trickster. And that just makes this a very survivable build in terms of, you know, having 20,000 health and your heal skill being very low cooldown because of Trickster. And just being able to, it's just such a forgiving build. And your damage is so easy to land because Pistol as a skill doesn't really require any positioning. Like, it just homes in on the target, sort of like, you know, a Ranger longbow with just less range. So it's just so easy to play this build. This is what, you know, low tier Thieves should be playing. No offense. And it also has improvisation, so you can get really lucky and get a double Spider Venom for insane burst, you know, get more sustain, more playmaking with Shadow Step. You absolutely take improvisation. And I'll show you guys how to play the build. It's very easy. So all you do is you press Thieves Guild, and then you share out the Spider Venom to your Thieves Guild, and they get the Leeching Venom's bonus as well. So, and then once you do that, you go into Withdraw, you press 1, Steal 3, and that's it. That's pretty much it. So, yeah, you go into Stealth, you do your burst, you get the bleeds from that. Then you steal, you get the, you know, Confusion, Poison, and Vallun from that, and then you press 3 and you get Torment. And that puts all the conditions on your target, and then you'll just press 3 again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, Stealth, if you can, 1, Steal, 3, and then press 3. And you've got quite a pretty big burst there. And if they try to counter pressure you, you have Torment on them. So you can obviously just press 3 without worrying about taking counter pressure, unless they have a full Condi Cleanse, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty much this build. You play it kind of like a roamer, but you can also take 1v1 sometimes when you have Thieves Guild up, because you can often just overpower them with Thieves Guild. So yeah, I mean, you just play it like a normal Thief build. It's just very easy. And yeah, Thief is fine, by the way. So last, I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, maybe there are a lot of people that have a stigma against Condi Thief, right? So maybe you don't want to play Sword Dagger and Dagger Pistol because they have too low damage, but you don't want to play Condi Thief because it's too easy to do its damage. I have a new build for you guys. This is the Boomer Crit Strikes Core DP Thief. So before, the meta used to be a core Shadow Arts DP Thief, right? It's what Syndroner played, and everyone else played it. But it was good that everyone copied him because that was a very brain-dead build. Now, the build that Syndroner is playing, that I'm also playing, and that a lot of other Thieves are playing and saying it is really bad, is a high-skill build. So, and it requires you to rotate very precisely. So, yeah, I'm going to give you guys a Thief build that has sort of a similar playstyle here to the DP Dash Daredevil, but it doesn't require that much rotation because it has way more damage. That's right, I'm playing Crit Strikes with all the modifiers here, and Improv, obviously, with even the odds. So you have Vallun. So your Vallun gives you, 5% extra damage, and then you have, when you steal, you'll do, like 4 Condis if you do a blind as well. And yeah, that'll give you 8% more damage. You just have like tons of modifiers with compounding sigil as well, so 8% plus the 4, that's like 12 just from the conditions of compounding and exposed weakness. Then you've got the Vallun, I already mentioned that. You have the lead attacks, you have all the crit strikes modifiers with fury and stuff like that. So yeah, this build just does a lot of damage, and it's basically just DP Thief. You have your Condi Cleanse on Hide in Shadows instead of on Shadow Arts, so obviously this build doesn't have that much sustain on it, but it can survive quite a decent amount. I'll show you later in the matches. I'm actually running Shadow Refuge just because I like to troll around with some boomer stuff. But yeah, you can also run Smokescreen as well, but you know, either one, I don't really care. And then I'm running Infiltrator Signet. So a lot of people don't like the fact that you know, Daredevil has a low steal range. Well, you have basically 2 steals because this is a 1200 range port to target, and so is your steal. So this is a pretty decent build for people to play, in my opinion. And if you look at the damage that I'm doing, my backstabs hit for 4k on a heavy golem, which is pretty decent. Let's check out what the steal damage is. So I do like 5k backstab on a heavy golem. That's pretty decent. So yeah, this is a pretty fun build too. And it has improvisation, so it has a lot of survivability on it. Has mug, has all the damage that you need. The only difference is it has a little bit less mobility because you don't have dash, and you know, a lot less survivability because you don't have as much Condi cleanse. But I mean, the build has enough damage that you don't really need that, because you can just go in, do your damage. If you don't get the kill, then you just leave, right, and go somewhere else, like the normal dash DP Thief would. You know, dash DP Thief is more about sustaining in fights longer, which is better versus, you know, higher tier matches, because people aren't just going to instantly die. So like, if you're in low tier matches, this is a build that you can actually play, because the fights aren't going to last that long, or maybe they do, and that means that you'll get more value out of having more damage. And yeah, I think this is a pretty good build too, if you don't like playing Condi Thief and you don't think that you're skilled enough to rotate with dash DP. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Thief is very fine right now in terms of balance. It's just that the other classes that are busted, like Necro, Rev, and Ranger, are, you know, maybe needing a little bit of a tuning down. And obviously there is one thing that's an issue on Thieves right now: Shadow Portal. I don't think that Shadow Portal is very good because it doesn't really fit the role of Thief that well. Like, you already have the best decap potential in the game, so Shadow Portal is kind of like overkill at that point. You don't really need it because you can get the decap anyways, and in the situation that you want to get a decap is usually when your team can't get any kills, so you don't really need to be faster at getting a decap. Obviously you can make plays and stuff like that, but yeah, in the situations where you want to use Shadow Portal, you don't really need Shadow Portal. And in the situations where you want to have like another skill like Blinding Powder, or say on like a normal dash DP build, that's way better in that situation to have a stun break that you don't disengage because of. So yeah, I like not using Shadow Portal, but having said that, Shadow Portal is too easy and too risk. It requires you to basically, it doesn't require it, basically allows you to play with no risk, because if your Shadow Portal's down, it has no cast time and you can use it instantly, unlike a Mesmer Portal, which has a cast time, and or more like a wind up time. So I think that Shadow Portal maybe should be nerfed, even though I don't really think that it's good. A lot of people do think it's good. I don't think it is, but for the reasons that they think it's good, I think that it should be nerfed. And that's because it's too low risk and the cooldown is too easy, so you can just use it back to back and there's no like downtime between it, so it's way too uninteractive. And that's the issue with it, right? It's too uninteractive. And yeah, also Nerf Thieves Guild, the duration of 30 seconds makes it too hard to play around because you can't really kill them that easily. So a lot of the counterplay to Thieves Guild is just kiting it out, but then you have to kite it out for 30 seconds, so it's often not counterplayable in many ways. So yeah, make it last maybe like 20 seconds or 15 seconds, kind of like they did to Lich Form, and possibly make it so that Venoms don't share to Thieves Guild. Potentially, I mean, I do like the interaction of that, but it's a little bit too, you know, front-loaded burst. But So in this match, I am playing Condi Pistol Dagger Thief. So you just precast the Venom to your team, and it usually does all the work for you. So you don't actually need to play the game. But in the case that you do need to play the game, you can just press, 3 and steal at the start like I just did. And that's pressured the enemy Mesmer quite enough to go into stealth. I have improv, so I have the double glob, which makes me pretty immune to the Sikkim Ranger if they were to attempt to kill me. But my teammates are actually trebbing right now, my Elementalist. So that's kind of interesting. I land the steal from 1200 range and get the Condi burst off. So we get that kill. I see that their thief is on the rafters over here, so I'm looking to chase them. Maybe go for a decap here on the core necro. But they're actually death magic and blood magic. So that's kind of tanky, but Thieves Guild makes quick work of that. So yeah, so much for Thief not doing damage. I just kill a bunker necro instantly. So moving on, their Mesmer is here. So yeah, the thing about Thief though is if you're playing Condi Thief, you're actually kind of easy to counterplay. So it's a lot easier to kite a Pistol Dagger Thief because they don't have as much mobility as a normal thief. So obviously Pistol Dagger is not going to be as effective in higher tiers where people know how to play around you. But even then, it's going to be annoying. If you're not very good at Thief, you're still going to be annoying enough to be relevant. So there is that. You may not carry like a high tier match, but you can still be relevant. And just the fact that you have improv makes this build so good because just having, you're basically a burst Condi build, right? So a lot of your damage happens with your burst, and then you kind of run out of steam very easily. And improv gives you stolen abilities, which in the case of a lot of classes can do a lot of damage. So even if you're carrying, the warrior steel does really good damage. The NG steel is very good damage as a Condi build, especially because it's a Condi ground target. And obviously the any of the Rev or Ellie ones, those will do decent amount of damage even if you're carrying. And then the Condis that they give you are really nice cover Condis, chill and slow, so those are really nice. And yeah, so just having extra abilities that you can use because you have 2 stolen abilities with improv just makes the build feel a lot better in my opinion. And yeah, so as you can see here, I'm taking the decap at far. The enemy Sikkim Ranger is about to die here because he's used all of his Condi cleanse, and I'm about to go in for the damage. I get Sickim'd, but I immediately port back because of the Shadow Return, and I can just leave at this point. I don't really need to take any risky plays because we're going to get the rest of the map. I get a nice res on our Mesmer, and I'm just going to look for a kill here. So my Condi burst, I really want to land it, and actually I see that their necro over here is kind of low. I go in for the cloak and dagger into sneak attack and steal, but it doesn't really get the kill because it's a bunker necro, and I have to disengage. So I'm kind of playing the role of like a high mobility thief here with a just using my short bow. So I mean, it's pretty good. I precast my Thieves Guild, and then I go into a fight. I see that the other thief on their team is also Condi, so I have to be a little bit careful of that. But because I'm running Trickster and Shadow Arts, I'm pretty sure I have an advantage over that thief because I have way more Condi cleanse, so I can never really die to his burst unless I have no cooldowns. And their Mesmer can't really finish me off either because I just am too slippery. As you can see there, I was getting shot by the Sikkim Ranger from his home node. Yeah, and as you can see, our Ellie's trebbing again. It's really not the best teammates I've got here, but I'm playing with what I can work with. We get a kill on their Guardian anyways. The treb cleaves it out. I try to peel for my team here with the Guardian steal by dazing, and I get a lot of pressure off because of it. And yeah, at this point, yeah, the ranger is pretty much out of cooldowns. We can get this kill. I see that he goes in stealth, so I go for the decap, and then my Ellie comes here to decap it with me, and then he doesn't decap it, and then we end up not getting the decap. So yeah, this is the same Ellie that trebbed, by the way. So you know, think what you will of them. And do I want to be in this 2v2? I mean, I do have the double glob, so that is pretty good. We're actually 3v2ing, and I'm just gonna press my auto attack because I'm not really sure of what the enemy is doing on cooldowns, so I don't really need to waste my burst until I see an opportunity, maybe a different target. But at this time, I'm getting focused by their whole team, so I'm just kind of just kiting and using all my cooldowns. They're going to come off cooldown anyways because of the steal, but I got never luckied, and it recharged the one skill that I didn't need to be recharged. So now I have to kite out with no cooldowns, which isn't really that hard to do. I am getting chased by their bunker necro. I think he's like power though, so you got to be a little bit careful with that. And now we kind of have the whole map because the enemy team didn't really get a kill on me, so I prevented giving them a kill. And yeah, so that was really good for us because they wasted a lot of time. And as you can see there, I pretty much got bursted by their Condi Thief, and I ignored it because my heal skill removes Torment, it removes an extra condition, and then it removes all movement inhibiting conditions. So up to like 4 or 5 potentially conditions removed, but generally it'll remove at least 2 really nice conditions. So it removes that, and then it puts you into stealth, which will remove another condition. So it's really good Condi cleanse here. And yeah, now their core necro is very low, so I'm going to try to get the kill here. He has Lich form actually, so I have to be very careful. I pop my Thieves guild here, and maybe I should have been more aggressive, to be honest, to the Lich, because I can't really kite him, because every time I dodge he's just got another one coming back. So yeah, the actual play there was to just do damage, and yeah, that was just a big misplay. But my Ellie is here. I think it's a water Ellie, so maybe he can res. The bunker necro is very low in HP, so we can actually get this res off. I just stealth there in case he comes closer, and I can give him the you know, downstate ability. By the way, the downstate sneak attack is an actual sneak attack, so you get rending shade off of it, which is kind of weird sometimes. You can actually get a fear, but yeah, that's a random fact there for you. And yeah, so at this point we have far, and middle is just being contested by our Trevor Ellie, who I think is like water, which is not bad now after the patch to play water Ellie, but it's certainly not something that I want to be plus oneing. So I should probably be leaving here and either plussing our Mesmer so that they don't eventually get plussed, so like a preventative +1, or going to home and eventually looking to pick off someone there instead of just kind of like stalling mid here. I'm just kind of wasting time, to be honest. But now I do decide to go into home. I see that their Thief is a prime target, but I am getting sickumed. So I steal to their Thief. I'm still sickumed, so I have to wait to go into stealth there before the reveal ends, and that's long enough for the ranger to press his auto attack on me and get the kill. So that's kind of unfortunate that the Sickum skill exists in the game, and it makes Thieves feels bad, man. But, you know, it's just one death. You know, I played pretty well this whole match and survived against, you know, a full Sickum Ranger till this point. So now I see my teammates in downstate here, and we can actually go for a res because they don't know that I'm in stealth here. So I get the res, I share Venom to the downstate, so they're actually pressuring pretty hard, and that baits out a lot of cooldowns for us to get the kill here. And now at this point, we've turned the tides, because now we have a downstate, and this guy is outnumbered. So the Sickum Ranger is going to probably die here, for sure, because I have 2 stolen abilities from the Thief, so I've got a lot of damage and a lot of self-peel. So we're going to cap home. I'm going to just stay here and get the kill on this Ranger. I have my Steel up. They don't really have much Condi Cleanse left. And I gotta be careful though, because I mean they can just press one button and kill me instantly. But yeah, they're pretty much too pressured to do anything at this point. And yeah, I got the kill in Rhodes. This is a good kill to go for because it is a Sikkim Ranger. I don't want them to kill my team. So, and we're also, you know, kind of in the lead. So we just want to maintain the lead. We don't need to really snowball. So this is good. We're losing far, and mid is our kind of like bunker Ellie. So we kind of just want to wait for our team to respawn here and then go in. So I have Thieves Guild and Venom's up right now. So this is massive burst for me. As you can see there, for a second I had 20 poison on the target, and that just deleted the necro. By the way, Thieves, they don't do damage. I heard Thieves don't do damage. Yeah, okay, it's a 3-minute cooldown, but still. You know, being able to do that 3-minute cooldown is actually kind of useful, to be honest. When it is used, Thieves Guild is actually pretty useful. At this point, I'm going to go for a decap because I've pressured mid hard enough. But as you can see, their whole team had a miscommunication and a misvaluing of the current win condition for them, which is to snowball into mid and then into our home node. Instead, they play to not get decapped, so they play to not lose as fast, but they make the losing play by chasing me to prevent the decap. So that basically ensures that we win mid, because I basically +1 to mid by pulling 2 people off of it, and then they just kill whoever's on mid with our remaining players. And yeah, that's just basically normal thief rotations there. And yeah, so we get the win here. I mean, yeah, this build can kind of have a little bit of a mechanical skill to it, but in general, it's actually very easy and doesn't require that much rotation. But it kind of can, you know, as I just said, you put a little bit of skill into it here. As you can see there, I'm like number 29 playing this build. So, I mean, it can get you very far in the meta in terms of the rating. So, yeah. And finally, I'll be showing you guys the core Crit Strikes DP build. So, this is probably the most experimental of the builds I'll be showing you, because it is sort of a high skill cap, but also does damage. So, it's kind of like, if you're good at world versus world, but not good at PvP, then this is the build to play. Because, you know, there's a little bit of skill involved in, you know, the mechanics of this build, but not so much in the rotations, because you have enough damage to kind of get kills yourself. You don't need to rely on your team as much. So, yeah, in this match, I'm going to be focusing targets. I'm on their Ranger at the moment, but no one else really is. As you can see here, Signet of Infiltration kind of allows you to play very aggressively with this build and actually do damage. So just a 1200 range port is just so insane for DP Thieves, because it allows you to stay on your target. And yeah, I'm just kind of snowballing kills here. Heartseeker does a lot of damage, by the way. So yeah, Thief is pretty fine. I put down Shadow Refuge to get a safe stomp. Now, I did say that Shadow Refuge is kind of a meme pick, but I actually kind of like Shadow Refuge because, as I said before, improvisation is really good at making long cooldown skills feel like they're not as long. So yeah, even though Shadow Refuge is a 60-second cooldown, you can get it more often than you think you have it. And it has a little bit higher impact in certain situations than Smokescreen does. So Smokescreen is really good in down situations, just like Refuge kind of is sometimes. But there are some situations where like rezzing someone with Refuge is sometimes better, because the detargeting is more important than the projectile block and blinds. But you know, I just like to play with Shadow Refuge because it's sort of new. You know, people haven't played with it since core, basically, because during HOT is when revs came out. So yeah, you're still gonna have issues with revs with Shadow Refuge, but you're gonna have issues with revs no matter what. So yeah, just take whatever in my opinion. And yeah, so let's actually pay attention to the game a little bit more. The you see right here, the stolen ability from the warrior did like 10,000 damage, and with improv I have 2 of those, so that's pretty good damage. If you notice a kind of a trend here, I'm saying a lot of things do damage. Yeah, Thief still does damage, and it's just, you know, a little bit of skill required to be able to land it. And the point is obviously not of this video is not that, oh, you have to be like big 5 head to, you know, do damage on Thief. No, it's actually a lot easier than you think. You just maybe are playing the wrong build, or maybe you're, you know, in the wrong situations altogether. You know, even though, yeah, it requires a lot of game knowledge that I'm expecting a lot of players to have to rotate perfectly. You don't really need to rotate perfectly as a Thief, to be honest. I think a lot of players that are bad at Thieves are saying that they're playing better than they actually are, and they're like, oh, but I have to rotate like a god. Well, no, you don't have to rotate like a god, but maybe better than a you know a brainless bot, you know. So speaking of brainless bot, I just tanked a bunch of fears there by walking through the fear ring, so that was kind of unfortunate. So this is not a very good situation for us. I'm actually going to get res though, which is nice, and we don't get the res there, but I'm trying to get this kill here. I press Heartseeker once again, but I'm in danger. I see that a lot of their team could potentially focus me there, so I actually go off for a decap, which could be a losing play because that's a clutch moment in a team fight. So I come back in, and I have a big Shadow Refuge to prevent that cleave from going off, and I'm just trying to cleave a short bow in a safe location, but they're going to get that cleave, and I eat another fear, which is not ideal, but I can attempt to go for this kill here. So I'm in Refuge, which is very safe, but there's like 3 of them here, so this is very dangerous for me to reveal myself. So I end up just going for a decap, and I'm being chased by the Rangers, so I use the Warrior Stolen ability, force them to go into melee, but I've got the other Ranger on me now, so this is very dangerous. I use Refuge preemptively before the reveal comes out, and now I can focus a target, and I'm crit strike, so, you know, I'm looking for a kill at this point because I'm in stealth. I am really far away from this kill here, and if I wanted to, I could use Infiltrators into Steel and cover a 2400 range gap, but instead I realized that my team doesn't need that, and I use it to get back to mid and just snowball these kills. My Cluster Bombs, by the way, Cluster Bomb or just short bow in general with crit strikes is insanely powerful. Your Cluster Bombs, as you can see here, can hit for like 4k, so yeah, that's really good. And now we're starting to make a comeback here. I need to go for a res here on my Necro soon, maybe. They're really low health, so I'm just playing to blind the warrior and just prevent, you know, any deaths so they can sustain this fight. The Ranger is plus 1ing that as well, so I don't want to plus 2 that because that's just over rotation. So I go to the Bell. They have a Blood Core Necro here, which is pretty tanky, so I don't really use too many of my cooldowns here. I wait till they leave Shroud, but they give up the Bell anyways, so I don't really need to waste time going in there. It's not even that safe, so I Shroud or Refuge here just to reposition and retarget. I see that their Sikkim Rangers are both heading towards my home, which we don't even own, so we're kind of in a bad spot here. I really need to get a kill, so I'm on this Necro. I get quite a bit of damage on them too, but they're going to go into Shroud soon, and at this point, when they go into Shroud, yeah, I need to save my stun break from Shadow Return, but they don't land anything, and I get some really nice Cluster Bomb damage off, and I save my Steel for when they use their Worm to get out. So what I did there was I used Infiltrator's Signet to get in and go for the burst and save my steal for when I actually need to interrupt them on their heal or something like that. And what a lot of players will do is, as soon as you open up on your burst on them, they'll port away, right? And then I still have my steal ready. So in a way, having infiltrators and steal is very good, because if you only have steal, then all they need to do is play around steal. But if you have infiltrators and steal, oh, and this is a juicy warrior steal. I just did so much damage there. But yeah, as I was saying, if they play around your infiltrators, then you have your steal up and they can't play around your steal. So it's kind of like the same idea as having 2 stun breaks. If you have 2 stun breaks, then you can play aggressively with your stun breaks, because you're not always saving your 1 stun break for like, oh, well, maybe I need it for later. Oh, maybe I can't use it right now because there's going to be something else that's going to stun break me. And you end up just never getting value off that stun break. Same thing with steal. If all you have is 1 ability that gives you burst, then all they need to do is use 1 thing and prevent that 1 burst ability, or sort of like burst catalyst. So kind of what I'm getting at here is, because I have 2 bursts kind of like setups in this build, it allows you to kind of follow through and actually be a lot more useful than you would think on a normal thief build, because you have more damage because you have more ways to do that damage. I don't know if that was a little bit, too convoluted, but yeah, basically we're just gonna snowball kills here. I see that the warrior is coming in to stop this res, so I don't have any stomp abilities other than precasting infiltrator arrow into infiltrator signet, which gets me that stomp while in stealth, to avoid getting CC'd by the rampage. And now that we've got that down there, we can win the bell and start coming back in this game. So yeah, that's a really big kill for us. And yeah, we just get the bell. Now we're in the lead. So we get more kills and we already have the map. So this is pretty much a GG at this point. I share Bassi out to my teammates, and yeah, we just get massive kills here with the short bow bounces there, as you can see with the pet on the ranger. Yeah, it's really big damage. And just Heartseeker spam doing 5k. Thief is fine, by the way. So yeah, if you like this kind of video of not just like a build, I mean, it was kind of builds, but it was also kind of a commentary on a certain topic, give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe for more videos like this. Leave a comment down below, because this is a very controversial topic. A lot of people think that thieves do no damage, but they're usually thief mains, and then a lot of other people think that thieves are in a fine spot because they really hate playing against Thief, and that is kind of true. Thief is kind of uninteractive for a lot of players, but I think Thief is in a really good state right now in terms of its balance. But Ranger is not fine. Delete all of the pets. Increase their stun break cooldowns. Delete blood magic rezzing. Delete perma resistance on revenants, and delete phase traversal, and also delete lightning rod.